Hello, this is Bunting, and today is the day you take a break from your Elden Ring addiction to finally finish the second drop on the whip you've abandoned for probably 4 months now. I'm talking simple but effective variations. And how to actually arrange them into your drops. I know what you're thinking, these were the coolest sounds you've ever heard in your entire life. Can you gain access to them? Yes, because they're in my new Dimensions Vital Preset Pack. There's a free version, while this paid version, it's still 40% off. That's ending tonight though. It has 50 plus presets, bonus stuff in there too, which is a much better deal than the $30 hot dunk you got at Okeechobee. You can get those packs at buntingmusic.com or in the description. Okay, sellout time aside, variations start in the sound design. And in said sound design, I urge you to not reinvent the wheel. Okay, all we need to do for a simple but effective variation is just tweak some wavetables. It retains the same movement from all our effects and LFOs. We're just getting a different tone and harmonics through different waves. Already, that's so many different results we can get, and they're all going to sound good together. If you want to push it even further though, Vital is amazing. It has these spectral morphing modes. Which can add more variation if you're feeling a little crazy. Not too crazy though, because that's weird. And you could do the same to any other oscillator. And get a lot of sounds. And there's one more knob that's nice to mess with. Just these FM kind of knobs. And also get you nice results. Maybe mess with the formant. Maybe mess with the squeeze on this guy. And boom. Okay, before I get in the habit of saying boom again, let's go to our effects. As for effects, things I like to mess with to switch it up. If you have a phaser, tweak that position. Could be cool. Right, distortion, also you can crank that a little more. Things you have to watch out for though is kind of chorusy and multibandy effects. Because suddenly, we take those off, it sounds a lot less polished. There's not as much stereo with the chorus, not as much brightness from the multiband. Essentially, it's going to change the timbre greater. It's going to make things mesh a little less well if one sound is a lot less bright, a lot less OTT'd, multiband sounding, and a lot less stereo. You understand? And also, let's say you have some filters going here. Whoops, that's a filter. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When you start to mess with these filters, right, maybe take it off, you can lose some of the original movement. But I'm not advising against all this. I'm just trying to let you be aware. Watch out for this. Okay, and speaking of movement, right, great way to add variation, just tweak your LFO shapes. We get beef shape, or we get skinny boy. And it's not even working. What is this? Depends on the sound, right? A filter is gonna have this be affected more. Okay, but in Vital alone, a lot of variations to work with. Now, if you were to step outside of Vital for a minute, I know, scary. We can mess with some audio effects for some extra variation. Some stuff I'm a fan of, I like a little bit of phaser. Just sounds pretty good. You can also mess with different types of distortion, like with saturator. Get it a bit crunchier. Maybe even add some kind of EQ movements, more dramatic EQ to give it a bit of a different tone. Okay, we're pretty varied at this point. You can mess with all the effects. This stuff I find pretty inoffensive and good for basses though. But if you're a sound design fiend, we can resample this out, turn on resampling, record, solo, what we want to resample, and wah, 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 wah. Okay, now we have this waveform. It's so beautiful. I made it. Thank you. Kind of my child at this point. But we can just keep layering on effects and go crazy with it. Obviously, the crazier you go, the less it's going to be similar. It's going to be harder to vary it. But let me actually open this warp stuff, double click up top, and we can just transpose it around, which is all right. But what's nice is to just keep it the same pitch, but just stretch it. Keeps that same exact texture, but just glitchifies it, if that's a word. Now it is. Lots of glitchiness. And if you want a different type of glitchiness, throw it on texture. Ooh, mess with the grain size. Ooh, right, you can mess with the transpose, but generally the pitch you want it to keep pretty similar. Okay, so you have cool variations. How the heck do you make them work in your drops though? Now pay attention, because this is where people mess it up, okay? Generally, a lot of tunes have this same structure because it works, okay? So first time, just kind of repeating. Then after these 4 bars, notice I made a nice marker, 4-bar variation. That's when you're gonna switch the sound line. And then notice I said 8 bars, or you can like say like 8 bars from the beginning, 4 bars from there. Yeah, and then after this, bigger variation for bigger dudes like me. No, I'm not that big, I'm on the smaller side. But there is a lesson, a life moral here, right? Smaller spaces, smaller variations, right? Bigger spaces, bigger variations. This is very profound. This could definitely have macrocosmic implications. But to ignore that, we can look at Babatunde, right? The best song ever made. And we can see it follows a similar structure. Wow. Does that. Small variation with the sound design. Some more funky layers, getting it kind of different, right? Spicing it up. This brings me to another point. You can go crazy with just adding little chants and kind of rhythmic-y elements on top of your basses for more variation goodness. But my point is, you can line up a lot of tracks to this kind of exact droppy variation structure. And if the laws of man can't bind you, you're not limited to just this response, although it works very well, right? You can pretty much throw anything you want in the call. It can be me saying like bad words if you want. To prove my point here, I chose some of the worst percussion samples I could find. This is our fill after our variation. Just pretend you've heard it. Right. What you'll notice here though, even though I can add crazy percussions and add whatever I want in these kind of fill-ish areas, it retains the same call and response kind of format, right? We have the call here, then the response, it goes whoa, 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 whoa. And it's a lot of fun. And this brings me to our dreaded second drop. Using our age-old wisdom, small stuff, small, big stuff, big. No, small changes, small time spans, big changes, big. Yeah, it seems like a joke, but I'm having a hard time with it actually. Anyway, so we have this. I just duplicated it over. And if you left it as this, most dudes won't care, but I definitely will. And to stick to our big changes, big times, I'm just introducing a whole new bass patch here. Just grabbing a wonderful Vital Dimensions pack preset, you know what I mean? And here it is in the drop. Right. And it's gonna work because this call and response is the same. Now we have the first rule, big, big, small, small. What's the second rule? That's right, it's just keep a common thread between variations. And the common thread here, it's gonna be this kind of call and response relationship. As long as this is solid, we can throw a lot of stuff between the calls and responses and it'll sound good. But what are some other ways to work around this? How about we keep our common thread as the sound design and see where that takes us. So I'm disabling all the rest of this. Let's unfreeze this. And we could just arrange this into more of a flow, more of an arrangement on its own. Yeah, dan 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 dan, yeah. Right, and this would function pretty fine as a second drop because we have this back here. I lost it. Here it is. And then pretend you're hearing a big build up. Drop it. fact, I think I like that more than the first drop. But as you can see, this would work as a second drop because we kept the sound design as a common thread. Although the arrangement is completely different, that sound design kind of gives it that cohesion. Other examples of common threads you can pay attention to is just kind of the flow of the sounds, their rhythm, maybe their texture. You can get some basses different but similar in texture, similar harmonics, anything that gives you that light up in the brain, I guess. But yeah, this video lit your brain up. Let me know in the comments and leave some suggestions for future videos. Once again, if you like these fat, obtuse, cute, like geometric sounds, they're in the Vital Pack. Check it out on buntingmusic.com. Still 40% off. It didn't stop yet. Lots of cool stuff in here. And buntingmusic.com, there's more ways to support me. Check out the music. You can get some one-on-one lessons from me if you really want to talk to me that bad. I'm weird. I'm warning you. And of course, this whole project will be up on the Patreon. Okay, enough selling out. Go write that second drop. And when you're done with it, join the Discord and share that with the producer homies. Beyond that, I don't know, like, subscribe, standard stuff. Much love. Peace out.